most of the people you see coming into it now, they're just worried about making the money. And if that's what you're trying to do, then that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But
Get it while you can.
we are trying to, keep the hobby as what it was, what it should be, what it should continue to be, as well, and a lot of it is just a no-brainer for people, that they do fantasy sports, they do this and that, whatever
or
it
sports
is,
betting,
sports betting, and what better way to do that than with cards.
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Wax Talk with Raw Mints. I'm your host, Carlos.
And I'm Bruce.
And today we're going to be talking about, on our very first episode, we're going to be kind of just giving you an intro on who we are, kind of what our goals are with the podcast, as well as kind of our goals in the hobby, and just talk a little bit about ourselves and kind of intro what Wax Talk is going to be about. So thank you for listening, first of all. Please be sure to subscribe and share and review. That really helps us get our word out about the podcast, and sharing it with other people that might benefit from listening to what we have to say, or just might enjoy it. So we appreciate you for listening, and let's just get right into it, man. So we'll start it off by how we met. Bruce and I have been friends for quite some time now. What is it, like 10 years?
At least, yeah. Maybe, I don't know, 10 or 11 years, somewhere around there.
It's approaching that. So I actually met Bruce through his now wife, Tiffany. We actually worked together for a brief time, like a very brief time period, actually, which is kind of strange how we did meet and stay connected over time. But we worked together briefly, and what was it, like a year after? Like this was like what? Like 2009 maybe? Maybe 2008?
Yeah, I want to say that we met at a party, and I think it was for your birthday party, playing beer pong and stuff like that. So, and at the time, me and Tiffany, my wife now, were just friends, but you guys had been friends, and, we kind of clicked right off the bat. I think it was music mainly, obviously music and sports. This was before we got into, the whole card thing, but, we had a similar taste in music and sports in general. So, the connection already was there.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree, man. Yeah, we definitely vibed a lot. We just realized we had a lot in common, which was obviously easy to get along with somebody. And Tiff was always really cool. She was always a really close friend, good friend of mine. And you guys got more serious, and I mean, now you're married. You have a baby.
Time flies, man.
Which is kind of crazy. But yeah, man. So that's kind of how we met. We've been friends for quite some time. I know you've. Just for people that don't know, Bruce has actually been in the hobby for pretty much his whole life. And so his journey is a lot different than mine, and it's probably very similar to a lot of people out there. But yeah, man, how did you get started in the hobby?
Yeah, I mean, again, I am 33 years old. I can honestly say I've pretty much been doing this my entire life. I have my grandfather to thank for that. He started me off at a very, very young age, going to card shops, going to, I don't know, whatever stores you would get wax. There used to be a lot more areas to get wax back in the day.
Shout out Showtime Sports in Tempe.
Showtime Sports Cards in Tempe, yeah, Peter. I've known him. I've been going there since my grandpa was going there, and I was, a little guy for sure. But yeah, I mean, really, my grandpa would just buy wax, and we would open it together, and it was all sports. I mean, baseball, basketball, football, hockey. I kind of stuck more with baseball, I feel like, for the most part, but yeah, I mean, we ripped a lot of wax together, and I have my grandpa to thank for that, teaching me first about vintage, so learning about Mickey Mantle, Roberto Clemente, Eddie Matthews, so on and so on,
right.
Hall of Famers now. But learning about that, learning how to identify what is real, what is fake, the look, the smell, everything about the card, that's kind of what the taste of it, smelling the bubble gum on the card, whatever. But that's kind of how, that's kind of how I started getting into it, and then developing, enjoying my own players, and a funny quick story is when I was like 4 or 5, my mom took me somewhere. We were like at a restaurant, and I had baseball cards, and I remember it was 1990 Fleer. The waiter's like, "Oh, can you name any of these cards?" Blah blah blah. And I literally was sitting there, and I was just reading every single name, just randomly, knowing how to pronounce these names, the teams, everything. And yeah, my love for the hobby has been around since then, man. I can honestly say it's never faded away.
Yeah,
That was before it is where it is now.
Yeah,
how
before.
crazy it is, but when wax was a lot more affordable. But yeah, I mean, it started at a very young age, and here I am still at 33 years old, and still just as passionate about it as I was as a kid.
For sure, man. For sure. That's why I'm pretty excited to share. I mean, for you to share your kind of journey and story throughout, this podcast, with how much it's changed. Like the hobby, even 2 years, 3 years ago, even a year ago, is completely different from what it is now. Which,
yeah, I mean, the one thing that I can say is prices of cards really have never decreased. I mean, you have had, there's a loss of interest in it throughout time, but when it comes to especially like the vintage stuff, I mean, it's always appreciated in value, and that's something, now it's on a whole other level. But I mean, there's always been collectors out there, and a lot of that stuff has held its value really well. Again, mainly the vintage stuff, but yeah, it's just gone to a whole other level now than where it was before.
For sure,
But,
for sure.
yeah.
And how I got involved, actually, obviously, was because of Bruce. I had been coming around card shows that he was set up at in Tempe. Shout out Collectibles on College.
Yeah, Cole.
Yeah, Cole. Shout out to Cole. You'd been setting up, obviously, for quite some time, like I'm sure the majority of time that Cole had been running that show. And I kind of came around a couple times. I would try to make it as much as I can with work, as on Sundays or Saturdays. And I would just hang out, man. Just kind of see, say what's up to you, and just kind of see how it went, watch you wheel and deal. And I remember one day, one show actually, I came in, and I think I might have came in late, and you told me, how much did you make? I think you sold, what cards did you sell, and how much did you make?
Again, this is before the crazy boom, but yeah, I mean, an example is I had a 2015 Prism silver Devin Booker PSA 10.
That's right.
Which I bought raw, I want to say, at a show in Phoenix or somewhere, and I think I paid like, I don't know, it was under 200 for the card, and I took a gamble. I was like, well, this is a clean card. Ended up sending it off. It came back at 10. At the time, I want to say that I got around 600 for that alone.
At the
now,
time, right?
we don't want to talk about where that card's at.
Yeah,
now.
we won't.
But yeah, it was that card and a few other cards, that I sold. But yeah, it's just like the natural thing when you've been doing it so long. It's really, it comes natural because you just look for people to walk up to you and be interested not only in the cards that you have, but
of course,
just be interested in cards in general and sports.
Exactly.
And it's a community, and that's one of the things, with this podcast in general is showing people how to have fun with it,
Exactly.
That's one of the biggest things. It is about, making an investment, but I mean, it's really about a hobby and love for sports and cardboard in general.
Exactly. Yeah. So to cap that story, so you had sold, I want to say it was like 1,100? How much? It was like up there.
It was somewhere. I don't
around
know,
there in that,
somewhere around 1,100 to 1,500 probably.
Exactly. And I was like, you sold what? Like, you made how much? That's when I was like, okay, like, this is serious. I came home. I told my fiance Bree how much you made off of those few cards, which obviously at the time is very different compared to now with the prices. But that's what kind of sparked my interest. I've always tried to find hustles. I work a full-time job, and I always just try to find other ways to spend my time productively and make extra cash wherever I can. I try to just find gigs or things to do or freelance design work and stuff. And this was just like, wow, like it's fun. I had been around the shows a few times. It was cool hanging out. It was cool like talking sports with people, even though I wasn't even selling cards at the time. And that's what kind of sparked my interest in the hobby. Obviously, my opinion of the hobby has changed quite a bit since then. I have a much better opinion. I don't know opinion, but I have a much better love and affinity for the hobby than just investing and making money off of it, even though that definitely doesn't hurt, dude.
Yeah, and that's really how it should be, man. I mean, most of the people you see coming into it now, they're just worried about making the money, and if that's what you're trying to do, then that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But
Get it while you can.
We are trying to, keep the hobby as what it was, what it should be, what it should continue to be, as well, and a lot of it is just a no-brainer for people, that they do fantasy sports, they do this and that, whatever
or
it
sports
is,
betting.
sports betting, and what better way to do that than with cards, especially when you build an interest for it, a love for it, a passion, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, I actually like this player. I'm going to start PCing this player, or whatever the case is.
Exactly. And yeah, I find myself, even Bree the other day, she had mentioned to me, she was just like, you've been watching a lot more sports than you have before in the past. Because I don't really have, I never used to really make the time for sports. I'd keep up with a few teams, obviously local Arizona teams and other things like that. But I kind of was like, yeah, I gotta look out to see how my investments are doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in this day and age with the market, yeah, it's like you gotta keep up to date on that, man.
It changes prices, like literally day by day, dude. Like like minute by minute, like a player could go off, have 14 points in the first half, and their card's already like spiking. So yeah, I do watch a lot more sports than I had in the past, but it kind of also brought my love back for sports too, for watching sports and following teams, following players, just because it's just nice to know how they're doing. And if I've got some cards invested in that player, then it's nice to see them perform or find out when I need to like sell everything.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, to end on, how we got started on this whole thing, it's one of the biggest things for me is collecting players that you like. You want to see them succeed, not just because their card prices are going to go up, but at the same time, I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting to see a player that you like go off and know that you have their cards. I mean,
and that you called it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Ken Griffey Jr., Jose Canseco, like just guys like that, just watching growing up and seeing them do well and just knowing that I had their rookie cards, I mean, that to me, that's what has kept, my hobby love going.
For sure. Seeing them succeed.
Yeah. For sure, man. Yeah.
Which kind of brings us into why we started Raw Mints. We started Raw Mints in like December of 2019.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that I feel like we had is with your skill in graphic design, your growing love for the hobby, we just kind of started talking about this idea of there's a lot of pages doing cool things, which we respect.
On Instagram.
On Instagram, just, I mean, different platforms in general, that we admire and enjoy watching. And we're like, why can't we be a part of this? You have the vision as far as your experience. So we come up with a name, and then it kind of just takes off from there, and this is all around the same time that you're starting to pick up more cards, for your PC or investment or whatever. So it's just kind of continuously, it's just grown more to this point.
For sure. Yeah. And I think the main strategy behind Raw Mints and what we have kind of wanted it to be, or not really the strategy, but the goal really is, it started off as just kind of showcasing our PC, which at the time it was your PC because I had just barely started in collecting. I don't even think I had any any slabs yet, so I was posting a lot of raw cards, which is still dope. I obviously raw cards, slabbed cards, it's all sports cards anyways. But we kind of wanted to showcase what we have, which therefore kind of, I wouldn't say legitimizes who we are, because of obviously the people we pick up. You pick up who you love, like in the hobby, if you're doing it for for the real meaning of it, which I'm at this point for sure. But kind of showing like, oh, these guys know their stuff, you know, like these guys, they've made good investments, or they have this graded slab that this guy's been going off. Like, how long did they know that this guy was going to be good? Did they believe in him for a while? So I think that showcasing our PC was kind of the beginning of it, and then it kind of shifted more towards, oh wow, like people are asking us a lot of questions. And at the beginning, you were answering like almost all of the questions, right?
Yeah, realistically, I mean, it's another reason why we started this is not only to just shed the knowledge that we have, but realistically, I mean, enjoying getting other people's opinions as well. I mean, that's what makes this a hobby, you know, because now it is a lot easier to predict. You know, the market is crazy. You just know when someone's going to go off, or you know if someone has a good game that their prices are going to go up, you know, but before that, you know, it's kind of like you're really taking a gamble based off of, oh, I collect this guy. You know, you talk to somebody about it, and then they're like, oh, okay, I see why you collect that person or whatever. And
or even asking, why are you collecting this guy? Why are you investing in that guy?
yeah, exactly. I mean, I've made some bad investments, you know, but still, to me, they may pan out. You know, Jose Abreu with the White Sox, I love that because of his age. His cards just don't see the value where they should.
Right.
You know, but yeah, it's just more or less just to communicate with people on whatever platforms possible. You know, another reason with this podcast that we're doing, you know, is just to get out to more people, get more people interested, to feel free to ask us any questions that they have. We will give our opinions and knowledge that we have, you know, and we will reach out to other people as well. That's what
exactly
it's about.
To ask. Yeah, I totally agree, man. Yeah, and like you just said, man, like we're always here to help people, really. Like my knowledge has been tenfold since I first started. I mean, obviously I had a very good mentor in you, that you really helped me navigate the hobby more than I could have ever asked. Like I think about that all the time. If I got into the hobby and I didn't have your expertise or your knowledge of even just products, like what to pick up, I probably would have made some really bad investments.
I think you still did, though. I mean, again, we all do. We make those bad investments.
Mo Bamba.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I was never really in too far with Mo, obviously, because I didn't just drop a ton of money on graded cards. I was picking up a lot of raw cards, a lot of like nine PSA 9s at the time. But yeah, I was just like, dude, Mo Bamba's the guy. Who knows? Maybe I just really liked that song. If that song is a banger. So I was like, oh, well, if he's got a song made after him, like that's got to be a great investment, right?
Wrong. Yeah.
Who knows? He could still pan out, bro.
No, it's true. That's true. And really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what players or products I turn you on to. It really comes down to you had a passion to learn and grow more with it. That's another problem with people that just want to get in it for the money, is they don't learn enough about it because they're just looking into what is selling the most, who's the hottest player. Like, you lose track of products from the past that once existed, that still exist. I mean, there's so many different variables, I mean, in sports cards. You know, obviously between products, between sports, I mean, we're talking, you know, vintage until present. That's a huge span of years, you know, to learn about.
Yeah, that's a huge time gap.
And like I said, it's just I'm fortunate enough to have gained the knowledge from my grandfather, who had been collecting since he was really young, and I just happened to stick with it and be passionate about it. It's paid off. Obviously, it's paid off, you know, and it continues to. It just can't all be about the money. You have to be interested. You have to have a passion for sports in general, and you have to want to learn about cards and products and so on and so on.
Exactly. And stay up to date, really. Like there's quite a few accounts that I know I followed from the beginning on IG and on YouTube. Mm-hmm. A lot of people that were very knowledgeable, not, you know, influencers that weren't just talking about money. Like they were talking about what they picked up, or even watching break videos, like unboxings of cards and products. That really helped me learn a lot, not only about what the product was and how popular it was, but kind of what you can expect if you do purchase that box. You know, like what are the kind of how many silvers are you going to get? How many parallels? Like Are there guaranteed autos in each box? Like, I was clueless at the very beginning, especially to opening wax. But now, I mean, it's just changed so much since I started that I don't know. I think we play a pretty good role. I don't know. Would
Well,
you say
now,
in
I mean,
helping people?
also, it really comes down to you're also at the point now where you know what you like. You know who you want to collect. You know if a new product comes out, I might take a gamble on it. But at the end of the day, you
Yeah.
still go back to the players that you like, the products that you've liked in the past, even the more you've gotten into vintage. I mean, even 80s junk wax stuff, which I know you got into a couple months ago. You started diving more into 80s, 90s basketball, baseball, stuff like that.
For
Those are
sure.
to me, those are key rookie cards. Key cards just that don't get a lot of love. I mean, they are now. Everything's getting love now with the market, but you gotta not just be focusing on making money on this. If you have a
Or
if
the
yeah,
return on whatever you pick
if
up.
you have a passion for sports, there's no reason why you can't get into cards. That's just that's my
Exactly.
opinion, but I don't know. That's just kind of what I believe that way. So
No, I agree,
what
man.
would you say? Moving on to another thing here. What would you say so far from the time that you've been collecting? What's one of your favorite memories in the hobby?
Favorite memories. Wow. There's so many, honestly. I know that's kind of a corny way to answer that, but there has been quite a bit. I would say, I would have to say my favorite memory is probably my biggest pickup.
Okay.
And that actually came very recently. My favorite soccer player is Edinson Cavani.
Yes.
I've been a follower of soccer for quite some time, so he's been one of my favorite players when he was with Napoli. Obviously, his time at PSG, where he absolutely destroyed it and had so many set scoring
Mm-hmm.
records. Now his time at Man U, where he's continuing to do great. He's earned a few starts, which is awesome to continue to play at his age. And I have been watching. I have to say, I never looked up I never actually paid attention to the VIN number on the BGS slab, but I'm pretty sure this has been the same Cavani rookie sticker. It's like I want to say it's like a BGS 95,
Okay.
and it's been on eBay for so long, and I actually had the opportunity to pick it up maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't know what was happening with whoever had it listed. Maybe they were just kind of getting desperate or needed money, and they switched it from, I think at the time it was 1800 the week prior, and they dropped it down to 495.
Oh wow.
And I remember sending that to you. I was like, dude, I got to pick this up. And this was right before we got our recent slabs back, so I was like, nah, I don't really want to make the investment right now. We haven't got our grades hadn't even popped yet. So if I had known, if I had known that our grades were gonna pop and we were gonna get what we did get, I would have just picked it up in a second. Which, you know, again, that's another aspect of the hobby. It's like sometimes you have to act fast. Sometimes you have to pull the trigger really quickly, or you're gonna lose it. And that's happened obviously to both of us
Oh
many
yeah.
times. So I ended up passing, unfortunately, and for whatever reason, the next day it went up to 2,000. So I definitely could have had that. That was probably the cheapest I could have gotten that graded slab, obviously since I've started. But I found a seller on eBay that finally listed one raw, and I looked at the photos. I honestly was gonna buy it even if there was a dinged corner. I don't care. I really want this sticker. It's this true rookie sticker, and the photos actually, I obviously haven't received it yet because this just happened, but it looks really clean. The centering's nice. I sent it to you,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
You did.
So I picked it up, dude, and I got it for $65.
Which is a steal
Which,
for. I mean, we're talking about Cavani, who really doesn't get a lot of hobby love. There's a lot of guys that like him, including yourself, but you just don't see his stuff pop up really. Let alone true rookies or
hmm
just a lot of his older stuff in general. That's kind of with the soccer market, I guess, in
yeah,
general. Though you're seeing more stuff pop up now, but
for
yeah, you.
sure. People are starting to realize that soccer's exploding and opening up, stepping into their attic and pulling out that box, man. And I'm thankful for it because I probably would have had to just end up biting the bullet and saying screw it. Like, this is a PC card that I've wanted for a very long time, or a sticker. But thankfully, I got it for a steal, man, and it looks really clean. I'm hoping, obviously, that it gems, but as we know with stickers, that's a super tough ask. But I really don't care what the grade is, because that's just a PC lifetime
That's
card.
A really
man.
good point to make, man. Is it's not always about the grade, you know. I mean, if worst case scenario that card came back a 3 or a 4, you know, which I hope it doesn't, but you would still be happy. You would just hold it, you know, for your PC.
Not at all. Yeah, I would be so stoked. I'm honestly just glad that it's on its way, and obviously it's shipping internationally, because it's super hard to find anything in the States as far as true rookie stickers go if they're not Messi, Mbappe, Ronaldo, which even then is still kind of tough to find in the US. Yeah. But yeah, dude, I'm just glad it's on its way. I hope nothing happens on its way here, which it shouldn't, but yeah, as soon as I get that bad boy, I'm sending it off to grading for sure, so it's encapsulated.
And that card,
But yeah, that's definitely my biggest, probably my favorite moment so far.
And that will be posted to the page as well, the Raw Mints page, whenever that comes in, for sure. Without a doubt. Yeah.
For sure, man. What about you? What would you say is your favorite hobby moment?
I brought up one of them being, you know, just the memories with my grandpa, learning about cards, opening boxes with him, and learning how to take care of cards. That's another thing too, is I can honestly say that at a very young age, I wasn't putting cards on my bike or anything like that, or, you know, pinning them on the wall. Yeah, spokes or pinning them on the wall or anything. Like, I was learning how to, you know, put them in a penny sleeve, in a top loader, or whatever it was. So just, I have a lot of memories with that. It's really hard to specifically think of one. But I mean, another one is, I mean, I do know a lot about, you know, sports cards, but when it comes to soccer, I mean, I feel like that's something that you and I both grew with together. I mean, you had the prior knowledge of soccer. You know, I watched a little bit of soccer, but I wasn't as heavy into it as you are. But yeah, that's probably one of the biggest memories is, you know, after me and my wife got married, you know, we went to Italy, which is a huge memory of it in itself, going to Rome and just going everywhere. And you don't see baseball, basketball, football. You see soccer. You go to a bar, you go anywhere, you know, they're talking about soccer, you know, shops, there's soccer kits, stuff like that, you know. So that was one of the biggest memories I have, is thinking, when I get back to the United States, I got to get with Carlos. I got to see if he's going to be down to get into the soccer market.
You texted me while you were in Italy, dude.
Yeah, I probably
did.
You
remember that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a little bit hazy. I remember watching soccer in a bar, and me and my wife had a few drinks, but I remember thinking that I probably texted you then. You were immediately, you were just like, I'm so down. You know, I've been.
Yeah, you texted me. You're like, you think we should get into soccer, picking up soccer? And I was like, dude, say no more. I was like, I was like, that's a no-brainer, dude.
Yeah, and we've had good luck.
I'm so glad you did.
Something else that I'm sure we'll talk about is just, we've been very fortunate on getting into certain markets before they explode. It's been like that for me.
We're the Cardstradamuses, bro.
I mean, I've already had it with, it's primarily baseball, basketball, football. I mean, I've already been there, but, you know, soccer, Pokemon, other oddball things that we're kind of dabbling into a little bit. It's like, I don't know. We've kind of seized the opportunity that way, you know. And with soccer, I mean, that's one of the best memories I have, is because we were getting some nice products for fairly cheap, man. You know, before they went
I want to say, to even be specific for our listeners, is we at the time. So you got back what, in January or February?
I got married on January 3rd. We went a week after. So yeah, I mean, kind of mid January-ish.
So as soon as you got back, we got together with a few of our other collector friends here in Arizona, and kind of sent a group text like, let's get some soccer. We picked up 2017 Panini Select
hanger boxes, yeah. Well, because that's all
we got. A case of hanger boxes.
Case of hanger boxes, yeah.
And how much was it per box?
I honestly,
at the time,
I'm trying to think of what we actually.
How much did we spend each? Like $75,
something like that. Yeah. Well, we went. We spent, 4 of us, I think, went in on a case.
Yeah. So 4 of us went in on a case. We each spent $75. And how many hangers did we get? 12 each.
Yeah. Somewhere.
We got 12 hangers of 2017 Select, and then a month later, another thing that we should have just picked up more of, and the prices exploded. But that's when the prices absolutely exploded. and those case prices just skyrocketed. If you look them up, what they are today, your mind will be blown away that you're able to get 12 hangers for $75. And then shortly after that, Dave and Adams, which we use quite frequently, we picked up how many retail boxes of Donruss did we pick up of 2018 Donruss?
With the fat packs in them, right?
Yeah, the fat pack boxes.
I want to say maybe 5 or 6 of them.
No, I think we picked up like 12. I think you got 5. You got like 5 of them because I remember you ripped quite a few of them. And I think that I picked up like 6 or 7.
Yeah, that's right. No, because you did end up selling a few. And at the time, when you sold those boxes, you're like, you were making a killing on them.
A flip.
Compared to now, yeah, a flip is a flip at the end of the day, to make some of your money back.
To even make another point of that, I, just for reference, at the time, picked those up. I think we spent, $55 for a full retail cello box?
Yeah.
Each.
Yeah.
And I just actually looked today before we started this, and those are listed at like $550, $600 for just the same box, the exact same box. A year later, dude, it's insane. It's insane. But we'll get into the soccer market, the soccer explosion, prices, everything with all sports in other episodes. So I think we kind of explained why we're starting the podcast. I'm sure people can already kind of surmise by now why we're doing it. We've got a lot to talk about, clearly. We have a lot of stories and experiences to share with you all. I don't ever want to say advice because that can kind of get misconstrued sometimes as people should listen to us. We're not experts.
No, we
dude.
want to hear what other people think as well. I mean, we can, again, at the end of the day, we do have knowledge, but it's opinions, as far as what to collect, what we like to collect. We just want to share that. If other people get interested in it, then that's cool, and if other people turn us on to other products or players or whatever, then we're game for that too. I mean, that's, again, growing the love for the hobby is what we want.
Exactly. We're not going to be burning Michael Jordan rookie stickers for the clout.
No.
I don't even want to give that guy's name out there, dude. Like, everybody knows who it is. If you're in the hobby, you know who did that recently. Just ridiculous. That's what I'm saying. We're not experts. We're never going to say do this or do that. We're just going to share what we know, and hopefully that helps, or maybe just like hearing about it. We just, again, our goal is to really just help who we can. And if you're interested in listening to this, then thank you for listening. But what do you think people can expect from the podcast, man?
We're going to constantly stay updated on the market. We're going to give information based off of sales, how players are doing, kind of, what we do with raw mints in general. But really, people can just expect to hopefully have a good time like we are, having fun talking about sports, talking about cards. I mean, this has been something that I've been doing for a long time, and I'm fortunate that you've gotten involved with this. Other people that enjoy listening to us, we want them to reach out to us, ask any questions that they want, and shed their light on why they see cards going up or cards going down. Or the possibilities are endless in the hobby, as we know. We don't see this tanking anytime soon.
No.
There's going to be a point where it's going to have to chill out. It's going to have to plateau a little bit.
Just correct.
Yeah, it's going to have to.
There's going to be a correction.
Just like everything else, that gets popular. But again, I've been doing this a long time, and I can say that it's never going to completely go away. Especially, it just may end up turning into people get more into vintage, the more rare stuff, the more
rare stuff,
obscure items, But yeah, you can just expect us to continue to keep doing this regardless, whether people lose interest or not. We know that there's listeners out there that do have interest and, that want to learn.
And could benefit from it too.
Yeah, exactly.
And that could actually help us. I think a really good point to be at, I think one of the main things I want to see happen with the podcast is for people to get to the point to where they're sending us, hey, could you talk about this? Could you maybe, have an episode about this? And dude, we'd welcome that for sure. I hope that it gets to that point. I see it. I envision it,
Absolutely.
bro. I envision it getting to that point to where people can have enough interest to say, hey, you should talk about this on your next episode, and we'll gladly will. You know, that's another big thing with Raw Mints that we kind of had kept to have stuck to this whole time, is if people reach out, whether it be questions or suggestions, or they have something to say about one of the polls that we post, we always respond. We always talk to people. Again, that's one of my favorite aspects of the hobby, is just talking to people about the hobby, talking to people about cards. We can do it forever, and that's kind of why we started a podcast, right?
No, we definitely got, you know, plenty of things to already talk about, but we want to know what people are interested in. People are most interested in. Give us topics, you know, or, you know, we'll have plenty of topics to discuss, but we want to shed light on other things that people are curious about, you know. And again, these are our opinions, our prior knowledge. So you may agree with some of the things that we say, you may not, but we're ready to listen to what people have to say and just continue to share the hobby the best way that we can.
For sure. So I guess with that being said, man, I think that we could pretty much wrap up this first introduction episode. Our continued podcast episodes, like I said, we're going to try to keep it concise on a specific topic per episode. Obviously, if there's subtopics within that topic, we're going to be addressing those subtopics. But I think our main goal is to kind of just make it just one topic per episode and go into detail about it, 30 to 45 minutes per episode, and kind of explore our opinions, share both of our separate experiences and opinions, and maybe just try to make sense of whatever the topic is and help inform people with our experiences and our knowledge with what they can expect. Or
you know? That's going to be the best way to do it, because I mean, with this intro already, I mean, I in our minds, I feel like we're going off into so many different things, you know, because we have so much that we want to talk about.
Which is going to happen.
We just have so much that we want to talk about. So being able to, you know, keep it within a topic, or, you know, if people decide to reach in, you know, we'll throw some other questions in there and you know, give brief answers or whatever. But, you know, hopefully we can continue to do this for a while and people enjoy listening to it. We hope that you enjoy listening to it. Please consider, you know, subscribing. You know, mentioning to a friend,
sharing it with somebody,
you know, because it helps us, you know, because we want to be able to continue to do this. We're curious to what other people think about the hobby as well, you know, and where they think it's going. So
also curious to see how people think we feel about how we feel about it. Again, we welcome all feedback, honestly. If I'm saying too much or definitely let us know. We're brand new to this. We've never been on a podcast. We've never done this before. We're not professionals, so we're gonna be kind of learning as we go, but we hope that you will all join us and continue to listen. And if this helps you find something new to love or enjoy, if this is a hobby that you can pick up and spend time and learn from and share with your kids or be a kid again, we hope that that's kind of the goal, of kind of just inspires you or stokes a flame that maybe was there when you were a kid and now it's just reignited. So yeah, we'll go ahead and just wrap this one up. And again, thank you for listening. Please be sure to subscribe and share with anybody that you think might be interested in it and hearing our voices.
We'll get better. We'll get better.
Week.
I promise.
We will. I promise. But again, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for listening to Wax Talk with Raw Mints. I'm Carlos.
And I'm Bruce.
Take care.